Welcome to Confident Now webcast. At Confident Governance, our mission is to democratize governance worldwide. And with this in mind, we constantly put together and present educative and insightful information on the latest and greatest in governance, risk, and compliance. This webcast is aligned with this goal in mind, and specifically today, we'll discuss about GDPR, that is General Data Protection Regulation Compliance, its management, and the best practices of it for 2019. The speakers here are myself, Sandy Carter. I am the Accounts Executive at Confident Governance, and Doug Jones, who is the GDPR Program Manager.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this exciting session. I'm Doug Jones, and I'm a GDPR Program Manager at Confident Governance. We have worked with global clients to make their governance, risk, and compliance processes agile and intuitive, and above all, we have made GRC a competitive advantage for them. With this being said, Sandy, if we can dive into the topic now and take it forward, it would be great.
Thanks, Doug, for the introduction. To begin with, here is the agenda. We'll start with the introduction to GDPR compliance. Then we will see the top challenges in GDPR compliance management that businesses face worldwide. We'll also discuss the Agile methodology for GDPR compliance management and some of the vital factors of the end-to-end process. Finally, we'll discuss on how governance as a service platform can make GDPR compliance an agile and intuitive process. Okay, so let's start with some basic introduction to GDPR.
Maintaining regulatory compliance is undoubtedly a priority and continuous concern for organizations across all industry verticals. Looking at the recent news on non-compliance in the companies globally, the stakes involved and the magnitude of consequences, it becomes clear that it's even more important and challenging to keep pace with the compliance mandates. Organizations operate under constant pressure from regulators and are required to provide regulatory compliance updates at frequent intervals. It is no simple task. The General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, has been imposed by the European Union since 25th May 2018 and requires businesses to protect the personal data and privacy of EU citizens. Its primary goal is to regulate how companies protect EU, that is European Union citizens' personal data. The responsibility of complying with the mandate is on organizations that hold and process this information. The underlying principle of GDPR is that any data processing needs to be lawful, fair, and transparent, and will directly impact how businesses use and share customer data. Non-compliance with GDPR has a penalty of $23.4 million or 4% of annual global revenue, whichever is higher.
Now that we know what GDPR is, Doug, why don't you tell us some of the challenges that companies globally are facing with GDPR compliance management?
Sure, Sandy. First of all, to keep pace with these new and emerging mandates, compliance teams often rely on data sources which include business data from internal systems, reference data, news feeds, social media, legal documentation, and many others. Conventional methodologies of compliance management are no longer capable of handling the necessary requirements and are not agile enough. So, in my experience, three of the biggest challenges in GDPR compliance management are lack of agility, wherein risk mapping is not done, and if at all it is done, it's not real time. Secondly, we have insufficient reporting capabilities. And lastly, the inability to centralize GDPR data, as the conventional methods are disparate, manual, and tedious.
I think compliance officers can really relate to all of these challenges that you have just mentioned, Doug. So let's just discuss on how Agile methodology is better than the conventional one.
Sure, Sandy. To process GDPR data and remain compliant, companies need automation tools that can handle enormous data inflow and outflow from many disparate sources. Embracing emerging technologies, artificial intelligence, and automated tools can make information more useful and accessible in real time on any device and anywhere at lower cost. This is something that traditional compliance management tools fail to offer. GDPR compliance not only requires extensive data protection security and reporting requirements, but also brings along the need for an end-to-end compliance management system that takes GDPR compliance to a whole new level of efficiency and effectiveness, while also enabling compliance team to focus more on staying up to date with the latest industry mandates. Here I would like to discuss in brief the important aspects of end-to-end GDPR compliance. First of all, GDPR rules and controls need to be tested using an agile and automated methodology. Tracking the milestones, attributes, observations, and exceptions, and providing remediation actions are the vital processes. So, it's important to have an intuitive, easy-to-use platform for entering, monitoring, and tracking GDPR data, as we can see on the screen. Another important feature is to have functionality of real-time collaboration. With compliance teams getting more dynamic, the functionality of real-time collaboration is of great importance so that status updates are real-time. The compliance reports and dashboards are shared on a secure platform, and relevant files are shared with the team with full version control and preview features as illustrated on the screen here. Next, we talk about real-time reporting feature. Having an integrated risk mapping program associated with the GDPR compliance processes renders the Chief Compliance Officer the ability to be focused on identifying, monitoring, tracking, and recommending remedial actions of compliance risks. The reporting and dashboarding generated by artificial intelligence-driven analytics can be pulled up anywhere, anytime, and on any device, and hence create a lot of efficiency for global compliance and audit teams. Such robust compliance reporting gives 360-degree insights into your compliance processes, related rules and controls, and mapping risks. Regulatory reporting gets a lot easier with the report and dashboard repository that stores generated reports for back referencing, while providing more scalability and mobility in a centralized platform.
Those are some really useful and robust features that you have just talked about. And at this stage, I believe it will be apt to discuss how governance as a service platform can help in stepping up GDPR compliance management process.
Using emerging technology and automation tools really makes GDPR compliance an intuitive process. For instance, Confident G Governance as a Service platform built on Salesforce.com has all the features of real-time reporting and collaboration, compliance testing, and integrated risk mapping, all of which we have previously seen. Such an automation tool can store, monitor, and track numerous data types from various resources and give access to real-time information on any device, anywhere, and at any time. And also empower compliance teams to analyze billions of data through artificial intelligence. It's all about stepping up compliance process and make it a competitive advantage rather than just check the box activity. To summarize, to achieve agility, effectiveness, and efficiency in GDPR compliance, the related teams need to follow the cycle of first, identifying key challenges, secondly, establishing relevant metrics, third, customize the process as per specific requirements, fourth, strategically execute the process, and last but not the least, analyze latest trends. These are all the differentiating factors of a governance process that makes GDPR compliance either a check-the-box activity or it takes to the next level of being a competitive advantage.
I think the bullet points that you mentioned are going to be very much useful for the global compliance officers, and they'll definitely benefit from this. And with this, we come to the end of this extremely informative webcast. If you have any questions, we at Confident Governance would be very happy to address them. You can drop in your questions, feedback, or suggestions at the contact details which are flashing on the screen, and we'll answer them as soon as possible. Thanks for visiting this webcast, and we look forward to more of your active participation. And stay tuned for more exciting content which will bring to you periodically. Thanks again.